At the university level, it is imperative to help students develop their critical thinking and evaluative skills, as well as their ability to voice their opinions and ideas. Student-led classroom discussion is one way to foster these skills and abilities. Unfortunately, the EMI classroom presents unique challenges to using class discussion. In the EMI classroom, students with lower English listening skills may not fully understand the question posed for discussion. If their English speaking skills are limited, they may feel too embarrassed to attempt an answer. Spontaneous discussion allows no time for students to prepare or privately discuss their thoughts in their native language. This is especially true in the EMI classroom. Yet, the greatest barrier to effective class discussion is poor facilitation by the teacher. Let's look at some examples of ineffective discussion facilitation technique. Do these scenes seem familiar?
So, to summarize Chapter 3, it appears there are clear benefits to corporate social responsibility for both shareholders and stakeholders. But there are also dangers when corporations decide how to solve social issues, as in the healthcare industry and now in education. These are very big social issues in Korea, right? This class, let's discuss what do you think about this issue. Taewang, what do you think about the danger of corporate social responsibility?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. It sounds... I don't know.
Do you think CSR is dangerous?
I don't know. I guess it could be.
Do you think the benefits outweigh the danger?
It seems so.
Do you care to explain?
Actually, could you repeat the question?
Let's try someone else. Who else wants to share their opinion about CSR? No one? Anyone? So, now that you've done your case study, analysis on CSR won't have led the case in detail. Let's discuss CSR and the case of Enron. Can anyone tell me why business should be socially responsible? Wouldn't you agree that business like Enron should be socially responsible? Isn't corporate citizenship more than just obeying the law? What should Enron have done in their situation? So, let's discuss the Enron case and social responsibility. Do you agree or disagree with also that corporate culture was to blame? Mihi, let's hear from you. Do you agree or disagree?
I think I agree. It seems like the managers made the culture that way, so they felt pressure to break the law. They should have more clear policies to stop that.
Like HR policy and whistleblower protection?
Sure, like that.
Good, very good answer. Let's try another student. Sangmi, what about you?
We should say
You agree too?
sure.
Sure, very good answer. Okay. Does anyone disagree with the also? No? Well, it's hard to disagree with. Very good. Let's move on. So, let's discuss your homework question about the unknown case and social responsibility. Do you think that CSR programs help society? What ways do they help society and in what ways are they unhelpful? Mihi, let's hear from you. Tell me, in what ways does the CSR help society?
Well, companies give a lot of money to cause and things like that. People don't give so much anymore. They don't have the money, so it helps those groups and causes.
Good, very good answer.
Yeah, but they just do it to cover up for the bad stuff they do. It's just like PR.
So you think it's just PR?
Yeah, it's just like a cover.
What about Nike and their operation, checking there are no children labor in their factories? Is that just PR?
Well, kind of. I don't know about that.
What about you and Kimberly keep Korean green campaigns, planting trees? Is that really just PR?
Well, it seems I can't explain that.
Let me give you an example where CSR moved from just PR to redefining how a company does business. Let me look at the case of Costco Steel.
Poor discussion facilitation can actually harm students' engagement in the learning process. Such discussion favors hyperverbal students who dominate interactions, while other students hide or disengage. Poorly facilitated discussion inhibits student exploration of ideas and different perspectives, forcing them to take sides or adopt an approved point of view. Additionally, a poorly controlled discussion can distract from the main learning points and confuse students. Classroom discussion can be an extremely valuable teaching technique, but only if facilitated effectively. It should be employed only after you have checked that students understand the concepts and skills in your learning objectives through teaching and guided practice. Effectively facilitated classroom discussion has been shown to enhance the learning of students significantly over individual, task-based approaches, particularly for conceptual understanding. In the EMI classroom, it encourages student engagement, listening, and peer instruction. A healthy discussion can encourage students to make judgments and evaluate alternatives, seeing a problem from multiple perspectives. Finally, a well-run discussion builds confidence in active and shy students alike. Effective discussion facilitation is a learned skill and does not come naturally to most subject experts. It requires planning, discipline, and practice because our instinct is to want to correct errors, answer questions, and clarify points ourselves. Such direct responses are appropriate for the instruction and guided practice stages of teaching, not for student-centered discussion. In order to allow students to explore their own ideas and analysis, the teacher must develop a different kind of attitude to one they may use for lecture. We call this attitude facilitation mindfulness. To be mindful is to be attentive but detached. In this case, facilitating rather than participating. It requires the teacher to suspend judgment and adopt a neutral position rather than approve or disprove. It requires close observation of the whole class and practice techniques for drawing out all students. Finally, Facilitation mindfulness requires the teacher to constantly reflect on their words and behaviors in order to guide the flow of discussion towards productive topics and points. In other words, during student-centered discussion, the teacher is not the star, but the host. Facilitating fruitful discussion is much like hosting a successful gathering, and the teacher can benefit from similar strategies. To be a successful discussion host, first, provide a clear invitation before the day, when it will be held, the question or topic to be addressed, some hints on what to talk about, and any rules for behavior required. Next, on the day, arrive early to class and break the ice. Speak personally to students as they arrive. Make people feel comfortable. If space allows, elicit help from early students to arrange the seating in a circle or horseshoe. Such classroom arrangement is ideal for encouraging full participation. Then, as the discussion begins, welcome those who speak. Join them at their level and make them feel important. Listen closely but objectively and withhold judgment. Introduce the speaker and their thoughts to others and ask their thoughts in an open manner. Give students time to form and speak their thoughts. They are the stars of the discussion. As the discussion develops, work the room using your physical position and presence to focus or open up discussion. Encourage new participants to join in and direct students to speak to each other rather than through you. Remain neutral. Neither praise or undermine contributions. Always keep your eyes moving around the room, monitoring your guests, as this will encourage speakers to address everyone. And finally, be patient but purposeful. Do not allow a bore to dominate or distract the discussion. Steer it in the direction you planned. At the same time, be flexible if an on-track discussion grows into something bigger or embraces a new perspective. The form and content of discussion might evolve, but so long as the learning objectives are addressed, you have met your goals. Let's see how a teacher effectively facilitates class discussion by playing a good host.
Okay, everyone. Next week, Tuesday, our class starts with our regular monthly discussion. The topic is corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility. The question is, in what ways can CSR save capitalism? Let's go over our discussion rules. Help me out here. 1.
No, I don't know.
Good. No, I don't know. It's okay not to know. Tell us what you think. We're listening, which brings us to rule number 2.
Listen actively.
Yes, listen actively. If you don't get it, ask for clarification. Paraphrase and summarize. Listen actively. And last?
Share with everyone.
Yes, share with everyone, not just me. This is your time. I'm just the host. Okay, since we'll have a class discussion on Tuesday, let's take 15 minutes to brainstorm about the topic now. Then you'll have the weekend to review notes and add some ideas. You like to add ideas, right, Chaewon?
Yeah, right.
Sure you do. Okay, let's use a table like this to help you organize your notes. CSR on your right and capitalism on your left. In pairs, get a piece of paper and write down this table too. Hi there, B. How are you today?
I'm good, Professor.
Great. Ready for the class discussion?
Sure.
I bet you are. Can you help me move these desks? We're going to sit in a horseshoe.
Okay.
Hi, Jaewon.
Hi.
Can you help us move these desks? We're going for a horseshoe. Okay, before we start our discussion on can CSR save capitalism, a few reminders. First, you can use any notes you want for the discussion. I put up a slide with the table we made last week on the screen also. I'd love to hear some examples and deeper discussion today. Next, I have put our discussion golden rules on the board. I will step in only if I have to, but I'm hoping that I'll sit down quietly and let you all talk. Now in pairs, take a minute and prepare your first point, and I'll pick a random volunteer to get us started. Okay, to start us off today is Minsun. Minsun, please share with us your thoughts on how CSR can save capitalism.
Well, I think that CSR is good because companies start to think about more than profit, and if they have employee programs to do charity work and stuff, then it is good for society and they help the charities too. And working for profit only doesn't help the people's feeling. Otherwise, the charities wouldn't have money.
Very interesting. I heard 2 points. CSR makes companies think about more than profit and it pays for charities. Let's focus on one of those points first. Mihi, what thoughts do you have about CSR changing what companies think about?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. What I think is that companies still just think about profit. Like, if they had to choose to make profit or give the money to charity, they would choose the profit. Like, in bad times, they would not give money if the company weren't doing well. I think CSR could be better. Like, if a company is polluting a river and then they give a lot of money to a cancer charity, they are still polluting a river.
Yeah, there should be a rule that company has to do nothing bad in their business to say they do CSR.
Chaewon, can you say more about that?
Like, there should be some rules about who can say they do CSR. Like, you can only get some levels of something, but you can't do any harm to get the first level.
In other words, you need a license for CSR activities. Interesting. Singchar, please join this discussion. We started with CSR and charity work, and now Chaewon has made an interesting suggestion. What are your thoughts or questions at this point?
I want to know how what Jaewon said would work. I mean, wouldn't that stop many companies giving to charities?
It's stupid. People should give to charities themselves, but nobody cares. All companies want is to make money. Everyday money, money. They are all greedy. CSR is just to hide their bad doings. It's not good. They just want more money. Down with the companies.
As this is not a discussion about companies per se, assuming there are companies, let's return to CSR. Minsun.
To me, it seems like you could have both profit and CSR and just regulate them better. It doesn't have to be money. It could be voluntary.
Let's look at our discussion so far. We've looked at this from many angles. But what about charities? What do you think they want? Take a moment to think. Have any of you done volunteer work? Imagine you run a charity. What are your concerns? Jiyoung, are you familiar with charities? What do you think a charity worries about?
I think money.
What about money?
the money is not enough. It's not coming all the time. I want more training of people, less problems, so money is okay.
Let's review his technique in detail. First, he provided a clear invitation to the discussion, stating the date and topic, and pre-taught ways to think about the question. Notice he established and reviewed the class rules for discussion, setting clear expectations for participation.
Okay, everyone. Next week, Tuesday, our class starts with our regular monthly discussion. The topic is corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility. The question is, in what ways can CSR save capitalism? Let's go over our discussion rules. Help me out here. 1.
No, I don't know.
On the day of the discussion, he arrived early and chatted informally with students to break the ice, making everyone feel comfortable.
Hi there, B. How are you today?
I'm good, Professor.
Great. Ready for the class discussion?
Sure.
I bet you are. Can you help me move these desks? We're going to sit in a horseshoe.
Okay.
He welcomed individual students into the discussion, helping others by paraphrasing their points where needed.
Okay, to start us off today is Minsun. Minsun, please share with us your thoughts on how CSR can save capitalism. Let's focus on one of those points first. Mihi, what thoughts do you have about CSR changing what companies think about? Chaewang, can you say more about that?
Like, there should be some rules about who can say they do CSR.
Singchar, please join this discussion. We started with CSR and charity work, and now Chaewang has made an interesting suggestion. What are your thoughts or questions at this point?
He continually worked the room with his manner. He did not focus his eye contact too much on speakers, but instead he constantly monitored all the students. This forces speakers to engage others as well. And he remained totally neutral in his comments. By remaining neutral, he encouraged students to seek validation from themselves and each other, rather than from the professor. While this may be frustrating for students at first, eventually it strengthens their confidence in their own thinking.
Otherwise, the charities wouldn't have money.
Very interesting. I heard 2 points.
To get the first level.
In other words, you need a license for CSR activities. Interesting.
When discussion became distracted or reached an impasse, he redirected conversation to a new perspective consistent with his learning objectives.
As this is not a discussion about companies per se, assuming there are companies, let's return to CSR.
In recognition of the EMI classroom, he employed several additional techniques. He encouraged students to use their notes to find answers. He also instructed them to share with their neighbor to explore ideas. He repeated discussion rules and expectations and paraphrased student comments when discussion stalled, ensuring students had multiple opportunities to listen for understanding. He built a written record of concepts in pre-teaching, then built a written record of the discussion in progress. This is especially helpful for students with lower listening abilities to maintain interest and engagement with the discussion. Employing facilitation mindfulness, in other words, playing the host and allowing students to be the stars of class discussion, combined with the EMI-ready techniques noted here, support advanced student comprehension and intellectual engagement. Let's review his technique.
Next week, Tuesday, our class starts with our regular monthly discussion. The topic is CSR. The question is, how can CSR save capitalism? Let's review our discussion rules. Hi there, Bihi. How are you today? How are you today? Ready for the class discussion? Hi, Jaewang. Can you help us here? Bihi, please share with us one way where you feel CSR can save capitalism. Jaewang, can you say more about that? Bihi, please join this discussion. Jaewang had an interesting point about CSR. That's interesting. Jaewang made an interesting point. As this is not a discussion about companies per se, let's return to CSR. You can use any notes you want for the discussion. Now in pairs, take a minute and prepare your first point. I heard 2 points there. In other words, let's review our discussion so far.
Now let's see these techniques in action in the classroom.
As a result of the entrance scandal, U.S. has seen major changes to corporate regulation, including the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002.
Discussion next week, so I must invite students.
On Fridays, we will have a 30-minute class discussion. The topic is regulation versus CSR. Everyone must contribute. Let's prepare some points now.
I must make students feel comfortable. Break the ice.
Hi everyone, how are you? How are you today?
Great, bye.
Please, let's move this desk to a horseshoe.
All right.
What about competition? Regulation can hurt competition and make companies less motivated to innovate. CSR is much better because it's not required. It's more flexible.
Welcome students and make introductions.
Jaewang, is it how do you understand the regulation? Tell us your view.
Actually, I don't agree. I think that regulation is necessary because I think the companies have more incentive to make profit than they do to do CSR. Maybe shareholders need to care more about CSR than profit before the regulation is not necessary.
Walk the room, be neutral.
Shingyun, can you summarize our discussion so far on the pros and cons of regulation? Mihi, please can you write up the summary on the board?
Classroom discussion is a powerful technique to deepen student understanding, but it requires facilitation mindfulness on the part of the teacher to be successful. Mindfulness means being attentive but detached, neutral in your comments, inclusive of all students, and purposeful in control. In other words, By becoming an effective discussion host using these techniques, you will ensure that all of your students develop critical thinking skills and build confidence in their ideas and language abilities. In addition, by encouraging note referral and pair sharing, by using repetition, and building a written record, you provide more equal opportunity for all students to succeed, regardless of English language ability. That's why mastering effective facilitation is a powerful learning tool in the EMI classroom. Next week's discussion will be about... Next class, we will have a 20-minute discussion on this topic. The topic of our discussion is... The question you will discuss is... Our discussion rules are... Let's review our discussion rules. Hi there! How are you today? How are your classes? Are you ready for our discussion? Do you have questions about our topic? Jinyoung, join the discussion. Mihi, what do you think about? Interesting point. Jaewong, what are your thoughts on this? Junyoung, you seem to have something to say. Please. Jaewong, what can you add to what Jae-hee said? Shingyu, what would you like Jinyoung to clarify? That's interesting. Junyoung, what do you think about what Jinyoung said? So in other words, your point is... Shingyu, in a minute, I'd like you to summarize the discussion so far. Jae-hee, please go to the board and summarize the main points. Let's make sure we've covered everything. Why don't we consider a new perspective? Why don't we break into small groups now? You can refer to your notes. Please use your notes. Look at your notes. In pairs, please discuss. Turn to your partner. Turn around and discuss. To repeat what Shingyu said, Mihi just claimed that... Let me see if I understand. You said... In other words, is what you mean...